Love and Lust.
Hello everyone and welcome to Love and Lust. My name is Lefebvre. Love and Lust is a podcast about sex in relationships. Viewing discretion and listening discretion is definitely advised. I just want to stop and thank all of my listeners, all of my subscribers. You guys have really kept this show on the road. My views, my listenings, the streams, the downloads is amazing. And I just really feel very proud. Love and Lust is a year and a month old, and I couldn't be happier and more pleased. So thank you to my audience. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my fan base, because you guys make this all worth it and make me keep on going. So I appreciate it. Now, today's special guest is Nina. Now, she is an indie writer and writer for Hollywood. Like, that's amazing to me. We're going to talk about a subject, and we're just gonna get right to it, because you know, Love and Lust is a fucking duck show. We get in, we get out, bada boom, bada bang. So the topic we're going to talk about, and it's a very good topic, especially because you're a TV, you're an indie writer. So you write, what is the genre that you like to write about? Let me ask that first.
Well, you know what? I prefer to write suspense and fantasy. Not so much sci-fi, but like fantasy, crazy made up shit. But I've written all kinds of things. I've written a Christmas film. I mean, obviously comedies and some drama sketches. Yeah. So
what is your favorite? What is the favorite thing you have written, and what's something that you want to write?
I think my favorite thing that I've written so far, I did a film called Bitter about this wealthy woman who has a philandering husband, that she basically contracts this woman who she knows is HIV positive to like sleep with him and give him HIV. Right. And so it's like, when I wrote that, a lot of people, like at the premiere, they were like, "Are you okay?" Like, it's like, no, I'm fine. Like, it's just, these are, like, speaking of unhealthy relationships, these are things that happen. People get driven to these crazy extremes. That's the kind of shit I like.
So back, I believe in April, I did an actual show on Love and Lust with a woman who contracted HIV, AIDS actually, from her husband. So that's why I got chills right now, like because this is actual real life. People actually do this, and you can get convicted, you can get charges, but you just sat there and ruined, you know what I mean? Just do that. So it's just, that's on another level, but that's so very, interesting. And also it's thought provocative, which makes people think. And also it brings awareness to something that's actually going on, because if it wasn't something that was actually going on, then there probably wouldn't be prosecution for it. There probably wouldn't be time in jail for that, So, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a real thing, and you can weaponize that sickness, but also it's not a death sentence now. It's not like it was in the 70s and 80s, and I mean, I would like to see the stigma removed from it, because it happens. People get it, people contract it. It's a very real thing, but in this particular case of this movie, I just thought, wow, what if, someone, hires someone to do that? I just thought it was an interesting story. So that's the favorite thing that I've done so far.
So what is something that you want to do? What kind of project?
I want to do a lot of projects. I particularly want to start to delve more into fantasy and like Black sci-fi, because I feel like, as Black people, a lot of us are huge sci-fi fans, but we don't see a lot of ourselves represented in that genre. So I definitely am looking to do more work with that. And, just writing things in general. I'm working on a one-man show right now with a well-known rapper and artist. And so, I've got some exciting things coming up. I want to do everything that I can do as far as writing is concerned.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you're, diverse. Okay, so we're going to go to the subject at hand. We're going to talk about signs of an unhealthy relationship. Because sometimes, you can be like a little bit discombobulated in what's unhealthy or what's not, like trying. Where is the line where you see something and it's actually a quote unquote red flags, what the kids like to use nowadays, versus something that if you love that person, you have unconditional love for them, where's the line of oh God, this is not for me, or okay, because I love you, we're going to work on this. So we're going to go ahead and just start jumping into it right now.
Well, I mean, unconditional love, that's crazy to me. And that, I mean, as a concept, it's beautiful. And, it's something that I feel like everyone should get to experience in their lifetime. And I mean, you can experience that in most parental relationships, most familiar relationships. However, when it comes to relationships with men and women, you kind of have to be careful with the unconditional love thing, because sometimes people can use that as a crutch to just put up with like ridiculous behavior. And there's definitely a difference. I mean, I can love you unconditionally without having to be with you. So, I mean, I would say jokingly that, like, one of the signs of you being in an unhealthy relationship, I mean, 9 times out of 10 is if you're in a relationship, it's probably unhealthy. No, I'm just kidding. I tend to be a little bit more on the realistic side when it comes to these relationships. But yeah, I mean, you made a good point about the red flags. I think a lot of us, especially as women, it's like, well, how red can the flag get? And then, they do other things that make us overlook their shortcomings. So it's really a balance about standards versus, expectations versus love languages versus growth and communication. Relationships are hard.
They can be hard if you don't have 2 people that are willing to work on it. If you only have one person that's willing to work on it and the other person isn't, then it's really hard. But if you have 2 people that realize you're 2 different people, and at one time or another, you guys are going to have to, like, somebody's going to have to succumb. Somebody, and I don't mean succumb in a very, bad connotation, but someone has to let the other person, have it their way, and the other person has to let it have their way. And they have to come to an understanding and an agreement and communication, which is what I preach all the time on this podcast or whatnot. But I think for me, one of the signs I would have to say is the lack of accountability.
Yeah. There's always an excuse for something that's going on. And then you have the partners that are completely toxic that'll try to turn it back on you, like shit that they do. It's like, it's like, no, well, I wasn't doing that, but then you said that. It's like, no, bro, like everybody just needs to be accountable for their actions. And I'm thinking about all of the couples. I don't really know anybody that isn't juggling a bunch of people right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Whether they're sleeping with them or not. And, as I look out into the dating pool, I'm like, there's definitely pee in this fucking dating pool.
You said they are not juggling, or they are juggling a bunch of people?
I don't know anyone who's not juggling a bunch of people.
Okay. So you're talking about just speaking to one person?
Yeah, just
being, to clarify.
Okay. I don't think I know anyone like that right now. No one comes to mind.
Yeah, because they're always, everyone's so worried about being hurt that they're just trying to cover up and band-aid being hurt by another possibility, because they want that desire and feeling of being wanted. And it's like, okay, well, you don't want me. Well, guess what? I got 4 other people in my lineup that may want me or will want me. So, I think that's what it is. It's just like people are just so afraid of being hurt. But the funny thing is, usually, they get hurt anyhow, because that guard is so far up that
right. You hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You hurt yourself, basically. Yeah.
So the accountability one is a really big thing for me, because it goes off, like you were saying, that you were saying something towards gaslighting is what the young kids say nowadays.
Right.
But that right there, not being accountable and always trying to shift the blame to something else, is one of the most dangerous red signs to me. Mm-hmm. Because now it goes into your psychic, and you're telling that other person that what they're seeing is not true, what they're hearing is not true, what they're feeling is not true, because you are right and they are wrong. Or you're just completely treating them like they're not even a human being by saying that, oh, you're just not valid. You're not valid. This isn't valid. Your feelings aren't valid. And right. That's so hurtful.
Yeah, it's the worst. I mean, I would just caution anybody out there that's dealing with somebody, like, let your love languages be known. Like, I was dealing with this guy, and it's like, I just tell him straight up, like, look, you trying to say you're into me, but you're not really checking for me on social media. I don't believe you, nigga, because you're on social media all fucking day. You know what I'm mm-hmm. saying? Like, you niggas got 2 and 3 phones, but can't text you back. Like, get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. So I don't think that I'm asking for a lot. And as women, I think that, men feel like they have so many options that it's like, sometimes we make ourselves small and we don't hold ourselves accountable to our own standards. And what I mean by that is just that, like, we'll explain away behavior, or like I actually had friends of mine trying to tell me like, oh, you shouldn't, ask him to do this and ask this. Like, what? Like, not have standards? Like, it's like he wants his dick sucked, right? Yeah, I want you to like my pics. Like, it's not, what I'm saying? Like, it's not really rocket science. It's a give and take, and it's just about understanding your love language and demanding that, these expectations be met. If you can't meet them, then I'll just go find somebody else who can. It's like you said, 3 or 4 other people are lined up. But I mean, at least, give the person a chance to correct their behavior, you know what I mean, before you go out and try to, stack your lineup. But my thing is just that as women, sometimes we'll find ourselves making excuses for men that are not, meeting our standards and making ourselves small and therefore not being accountable to our own standards. So when you talk about accountability, it starts with accountability to self first. If you can't, hold the line as far as accountability to self, you can't expect anybody else, you know what I'm saying, to be accountable for you and your expectations.
You have to set the standards for yourself, exactly what you just said. I was at some event last night and it was a whole bunch of females, right? A ton of females. And everyone, towards the end of the night, everyone's drinking, whatever, and they're getting a little, So this, I don't know how it started, but this one girl, she was talking about some guy that she obviously feels like she has a connection with. And she was like giving him excuses because he doesn't text her, he doesn't call her, but when he does, he comes over and he just has so much going on in his life. And he just sits there and he cries with her. And she's like, I just feel like I'm the special person. I'm like, no, girl, you just a warm shoulder and a warm vagina for him. I was like, we have to stop being so stupid, like, he's not calling you. He's not texting you. He's only doing these certain things because he feels like he can trust you for a second. And then also he probably feels like this is another way to get inside your pants. So it's also a little sign of manipulation.
It's definitely
to be honest with you, because he probably has other family members or, friends that he can actually talk to. Actually, that you go to a freaking therapist, and talk to him about problems. And I was trying to tell her that.
Recommend.
Exactly. And I was trying to tell her this, but the dude next to me was like, can you shut the hell up? I was like, what? I have a podcast, okay? I can't be sitting here and watching and listening to this dumbass shit. I was like, no, he just want to fuck.
Right. I mean, and that's the majority of, people out here, and that's why it's important to know what you want and have those standards up front and make it known. So it's like, if they have this agreement where they're sneaky links and they just link up to cry about shit and have sex, then that's great. But if she's expecting more than that, then she's playing herself. Because I'm not going to be the woman that's going to get on here and advocate that every woman needs to be in a committed relationship that's monogamous and all that shit. I have friends that are into polyamory. I have friends that are, one of them is monogamous and, one of them is polyamorous, but they're in the same relationship, but they allow their partner to go out. Like, whatever works for you. As long as everybody's on the same page and in agreement with what's going on. And, if shit changes, then you got to go out and, get what you need. But I would like to see more women kind of like upping their standards, and because I'm not afraid to be alone. I was born alone, I would die alone. I am not afraid to be without a man. I've been single for like 3 years, just really focusing on work and, people I talk to here and there, building friendships, but I'm not by any means gonna like, I would say step down off of my throne to make excuses for somebody and do all this, because I don't allow myself any excuses, not in business, not in life, not with the people that I'm accountable to. So I don't really have a lot of room for people who want to make excuses.
Yeah, exactly. And just stop playing the whole stupid card. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. And I was guilty of being stupid, like playing stupid, because obviously I know what I look like to other people. I completely get it. I've been in this body for 32 years. I understand it. So I used to let that whole stupid card outplay me. And then I said to myself this year, I was like, you know what? Nah, fuck it. I'm not doing it anymore. You're not going to sit here and treat me like I'm stupid. You're not going to sit here and talk to me any kind of way, because I deal with that shit all the time. I'll be trying to give people, advice, and I very rarely give people advice. Very rarely. If it's not on a platform, if you don't come to me and asking for it, I don't just give out free advice. That's just not my place. It's stupid to do that, because especially when you don't know the whole entire story. So I had a situation where I'm over here trying to give somebody advice and they're trying to tell me how I'm wrong, but I'm just like, you don't even know who the hell I am. And if I had a penis right now, you wouldn't talk to me like that. You wouldn't treat me the same way. You'd have so much more respect for me. So I'm just trying to encourage women, I mean, and men too. There's some men that get treated because, the way they look, their race, whatever. We get treated sometimes poorly because of it. But I'm like, stand up for yourself. Don't let them run over you, because once you start letting them run over you, it's going to be a continuous cycle. And now it's going to be harder to get that respect back. So we talked about not being accountable, but what is another sign of an unhealthy relationship?
I think another sign of an unhealthy relationship is like you're in a relationship, but you're a ghost. It reminds me so much of my first marriage. I haven't been married again yet, but I just call it my first marriage because I feel like marriage might be in the cards for me again, God willing. And I have a lot of homegirls in this situation. They're married, but there's no representation of a spouse anywhere in their life. Like when they show up to events, it's just them and their kids. The husband's never there. Online, they're never in any pictures with their husband. He's just absent. But we all know that she's married. To me, that's a sign of an unhealthy relationship. I've been in that marriage, so I already know what's going on. It's like, to the world, you're married and you're not another statistic. Both of my kids are by my ex-husband. So, I could check off those boxes. But from the outside looking in, it's like, you sure you married, bro? Like, there are family members who couldn't pick my ex-husband out of a lineup. And this is somebody I had been dealing with since I was 12. So it's like, you're never with me. We're not together as a family. You're always fucking off doing whatever you're doing. And so it's like, let's just go ahead and live separate lives. And that was my recommendation. So I got the fuck out of that. And it was so crazy that when I finally divorced this dude that I had been dealing with since I was 12, okay, yeah. We're now into our early 30s. He wanted to do all those things that I wanted to do. Wanted to be a family, wanted to do all this and all that. And it's like, bro, you got to catch me while I care. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm off that. I see what you're on. I'm good. And I don't want to work on it. But that's definitely a sign. And another friend of mine who is an Instagram friend that I go way back to junior high school with as well. She was married. I've never even seen her husband online or in person. And now it seems like she's going through a divorce. So it's like, ladies, if your dude never wants to be seen with you or go out with you, if he ain't showing up to family functions, if he's not going with you to work shit and he's not on your page, he doesn't want to be, this is unhealthy. It's a difference between keeping your shit private and you being somebody's secret or something that they don't want people to know about.
Or support, because there's lack of support. Right. And like in my instance with my first marriage, with my first husband, it was the same thing. Like people, they would see me with him at his stuff. I would fly cross country to go with him to his stuff. But anytime it was about me, ghost.
Not there.
Just vanish. And then it became to a point where I just stopped inviting him, and I actually didn't even want him there because it was just like an awkwardness that it would be with him, since I already know these other people. We already have this kind of like, I want to use the word chemistry, but I'm trying to say it in a platonic manner, but it was just like now awkward. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, here's this mystery dude. And actually my best friend pointed that out too after we separated and was going through our divorce. He was like, it's probably a little bit easier for you because the fact that no one really knows who this person is. No one knows who he is. So it's just like, you just had the property. Like I felt like property. Like I had the ring. I was somebody's property, but I wasn't somebody's, life partner.
Yeah, you were his life.
And you also said something very important towards the latter part, where it's like, okay, all of a sudden now you care. All of a sudden this is important. When I'm already checked out. Yeah. But it's the love bombing for me. That's another sign to me of an unhealthy relationship, is when something happens and it's something, negative that happens, and all of a sudden there's all this positivity towards, or that other person's putting positivity towards it. So it's almost like a punishment and reward, if you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So punishment and reward, like we're children, like we're 5 years old and, we're in kindergarten, we're getting like yellow or green sticker because we did something good. And then all of a sudden we get a red sticker. You know what I mean? It's a punishment reward system, which they do kind of call love bombing nowadays. That's a horrible, horrible sign of an unhealthy relationship. Because once again, it's playing with your emotions and your feelings, and it's playing with your self-worth and how you feel.
Yeah, that's key. I think that I don't know, like I don't know if I've ever experienced love bombing, or is that kind of like when like a nigga cheats and then he gets caught, but then he's like, I bought you a Birkin bag. It's like, okay.
It's that
All
same
right.
line. It's that like, oh, you're just so all of a sudden you're so beautiful. All of a sudden they're being the perfect person, females or women, or, you know, men, because females do this too. You know, you're all of a sudden the perfect person, but it only happens when they're trying to divert the attention from what they did.
Right.
So
that's crazy. I feel like people have so much trauma. It's like we need to normalize not dating people who have not been in therapy or are not currently in therapy. It's like everybody needs therapy. If I could be the Oprah of therapy, be like, you get therapy, you get therapy. Like everybody gets therapy because you just drag your trauma along like a heavy burlap sack, and then just, you know, unload it on the next person and on the next person. And that's what we're all essentially doing until we, you know, really
tunnel fuck of hurtness.
deal with our shit.
Everyone's over here dealing with everybody's bullshit. And It's just like, you know, it needs to stop. So we talked about manipulation. We talked about things like that. But what about isolation? Because I know in some of my unhealthy relationships, I had a situation where the person was like, I don't even want to go out in public with you because everyone's always staring at you. Or I don't want to go out with you because this always happens and all the attention is on us or whatever. So what do you think about the isolation part?
I think that's like one of those, that's just like a jealousy thing. And I'm glad that you bring that up, because a lot of people are in relationships with people that are jealous of them. And it's sick. You would think like, okay, you got a penis, I have a vagina. We don't need to compete. We need to work together if we're going to be partners to push forward. Like, that's another thing with me. It's like, I'm not even interested in being in a partnership with somebody if we're not about building. It's not, we're not here to compete and tear each other down. There's too much of that going on social media and in the outside world. We need to be focused on building consistently. But, you know, you have people that are kind of at war with you. It's like, why wouldn't you want all eyes to be on us? Why would it be a problem that we're the center of attention? Like, you know, why can't we be a power couple? But, you know, niggas be jealous of the people that they're with, which is weird to me.
I call it a dick throwing contest. How the fuck am I having a dick throwing contest with my partner? That doesn't make sense to me. And it's, you know, it's in relationships with men and men, women and women, women and men. It's in all kind of relationships. I've seen this happening. Yeah. I don't really talk about my marriage that much, but the problem occurred. It started to occur when I started my own business. And I just remember we had a conversation. I always say this to people: do not get drunk together. Do not drink together if you guys have a situation and a problem, because all it's going to do is make it worse, but not on a good level. Like, it's on a dangerous level.
Nothing ever gets worse on a good level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, conflict can be good, because if you actually sit there and you solve the conflict, Karl Marx theory, sociology, it's actually good. I actually don't mind having debates, not arguments, but debates with my partner, because it's like, okay, you're making me a better person. If you're like, I don't like that you did this when that, like, oh shit, I didn't even notice I was doing that. I didn't notice, you know, all of a sudden I wasn't listening, whatever. I'm very open to making myself better, because for years I was with somebody who never said anything. For years I was with somebody who just didn't give a fuck, you know? But going back to the situation I was talking about, I basically said, and he, you know, worked a couple jobs, he was in healthcare. And I basically was saying like, oh, I can't work for somebody ever again because I'm just so used to how I live my life now. Oh God. Oh God. That just set everything on fire. Everything. Because he took it, I guess, as me putting him down.
Right. He internalized it. Yeah.
Which didn't make sense. And here he is, you know, I guess because he's working several jobs and I'm still the breadwinner in the family, that all of a sudden now and that's where the problem was really, I mean, we had problems, but that's when I start seeing the problems occur. And I was like,
that's something that he had to deal with, because that's something that he was internalizing. It's like, you know, you have to practice when you're in a relationship, objective listening. and not making everything that comes out of your partner's mouth about you. I have that bad, actually. Let me just own up to my shit. It's like, if somebody says something to me, it's like, what? Like, because I always feel like people talk in codes, because I'm just not used to dealing with people who are honest, to be honest with you, and upfront. But you know, it's like, I'm kind of talking to somebody right now who's like the most honest man I've ever dealt with. And it's actually quite refreshing.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend the men try honesty. Because, you know, I mean, because it's something that a lot of you guys haven't tried, you know what I'm saying? So I'm putting you up on game right now. Just try keeping that shit above 50. You would be surprised at what women will be flexible and go with if you're just honest and upfront. Give people a choice. But yeah, objective listening is huge. And I mean, that's not, if your partner can't objectively listen, to me, that's not necessarily a red flag that you're in an unhealthy relationship. But that person definitely has an unhealthy trait they need to work on, because like you said, it can lead to a healthy relationship becoming toxic.
Mm-hmm. But if they're willing to work on it, that's completely different. I'm not just saying just throw in, you know, towel because of something, because they did something wrong. And I feel like some people with now the stigma of, oh, that's a red flag, that's a red flag. All of a sudden now you're done with them. But you have to evaluate what is your deal breakers and what is actually a deal breaker. And it's the manipulation for me. Those are the people that I'm saying that's a deal breaker, because I'm not going to deal with somebody who's in there manipulating, trying to, like, I'm not saying trying to manipulate me, but someone who manipulates the situations, because now I'm overthinking. I'm thinking about, oh, what he said this, or she said this at this time, and she did this in the body language. I don't have time to overthink shit. And that's just who I am. So you really have to sit there and evaluate and make sure it's just not you just throwing the towel in too quick, because I feel like a lot of times relationships could be a little bit better if you actually did work on it and not taking shit off of social media and being like, oh, well, this is a red flag, so bye-bye, let me go talk to my other people on the rosters.
The Justin LaBoy memes, right? And then another thing that we do, we run and tell this nigga does this toxic,
so
respectfully.
Let me say something. He is funny as fuck, and it's supposed to be funny. It's not supposed to be, oh, let's take this for real life.
People are on there taking those memes as if they're Bible scriptures, and I'm like, guys, guess what? This is an entertainment page. These are not Bible scriptures.
Exactly.
Be careful out here.
Yeah, he does a really good job. Really good job.
Right. Oh, yeah. And then also too, like when we run and talk about our relationship and our partner to everybody, that's another red flag. I mean, I feel like a lot of women have that bad. It's like, okay, it's cool to have your friends or, you know, that one non-judgmental person that you can be a soundboard, you know, that can be a soundboard that you can vent to. But I think as women, and I learned this lesson in my marriage, you can't be telling your mama about what your boyfriend or your husband did. You can't tell your sister. You can't tell those niggas that are not going to forgive him when you try to pull up at the cookout. You know what I'm saying? And when you told them last week that he spit on you, you know what I'm saying, while you guys were arguing, like, yo, shit be going down, okay?
Oh, I know. I had a friend, I went over her place and she was like, oh, just, you know, my husband's in the hospital. I'm like, why? You know, is he okay? What's going on? It's like, yeah, we had an argument. You know, he pushed me and I stabbed him. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. But I mean, and as long as you're the friend that when you see him, you're gonna be like, what's up, Ryan? You know, and like, he's never gonna know that you know he got stabbed, because I'm that friend. I'm just gonna act like I don't even know what happened, bro. It never happened.
That's what I acted like. I was like, are you good? Do you need me to do something? You need back up? We're good? Okay,
you're good. All right. But you can't, you know, you can't go and tell everybody about your relationship, especially if you know you're not gonna leave. It's retarded.
I stopped telling people who the hell I'm dating. I've learned that lesson. I don't even tell you who the hell I'm dating. I was with a couple people and I told even my best friends, I love them. They have nothing but the best wishes for me. But you know, people can just say one little thing, because they know what path that I'm supposed to be on, you know, they know what path that I need to be on. So they might just say one little thing and I'm just like,
right.
You know what I mean? So I don't tell them. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, I saw this person, or I went on a date with this, you know, I went on a, not with this person, but a date or something like that. But I don't tell them anymore. I don't tell anybody. Oh,
you must be dealing with a lot of men that a lot of people know, people who are in the public eye. Yeah. That's a whole,
and this is exactly why, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different game.
I've dealt with a couple and, you know, that's a whole different ball game.
I have like, you know, celebrity friends that people are coming up to me like, oh, you know, he did this. Oh, you know, he did that, or she did this or whatever. You know, I saw them on here. They were doing this. They were dating this person. I don't want to fucking know that? I want to learn and discover from that person who they
what
are.
they've done, and who they,
Because I want the same, I want the same respects. Don't be sitting here watching me and my horrible mouth and my vulgarity on all my social medias and my books and shit.
And thinking that that's who you are.
Yeah. So
that's,
I give them
people do though.
Yeah, I give them, I give them the same respects, but as entertainers, we actually know what's up, so.
Right. Yeah.
But
it's the gossip mill. It gets pretty toxic.
Mm-hmm. And LA is very small. Actually, the internet world is very small too. So once you start getting around those same kind of numbers, everybody knows each other, especially the females in Los Angeles. We all know each other. It's almost like a little bit of a girl like group, because we're like, oh, are you dating that person? Who you dating? Are we dating the same person?
Right. Yeah. You know what? I'm not in that circle. I'm not in those circles. A lot of the people I be dealing with, you know what I'm saying? They be out of town, because I grew up in LA. I already know what LA men are about.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, not much. Not to do them like that.
I usually stay away. I get too claustrophobic dating someone in the same town, because it's just like, now you got to see them all the time. Now you got to talk to them. Now you're like, oh, you were here, so why didn't you stop by? No, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
I don't have time for it. But anyhow, so I think we went over some really good points. Did you have any final things that you'd like to say about unhealthy relationships, since we both clearly have been in one since
several.
The record, yeah, the record has shown one. Okay, so let's
I got one. One unhealthy marriage behind me. No, I would just caution anyone that's in an unhealthy relationship to really take inventory of your self-worth, and encourage you to get out if it can be fixed. And you know when it can be fixed.
You know it, yeah. And stop waiting to try to fix it too. Stop waiting until you're too tired and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. Stop waiting. Don't start speaking up. Don't not speak up. That's another thing. Speak up about your feelings. And if you are scared to speak up about your feelings,
you're not with the right person.
I'll tell you everything.
Yep.
Everything. I just got chills because, oh shit, I just got chills. That just reminded me of something awful. Woo! But anyhow, so I wrote a book. It's going to come out. I need to put a publishing date. It's coming out in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And it actually kind of goes over this and talks about your self-worth. I wrote it kind of towards pinpointing and towards women, because I am a woman, but it's also for men as well. The title will come out soon. I just have to make sure I got the title all down, because I don't know if I steal it.
Oh, is it the one that we talked about?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I can't wait. Oh, you guys are in for a treat.
Yeah.
The title, you had me at the title, and guess what? I need the rights to that, because if you're going to make it into a film, I would love to do that.
I want to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you, so you kind of tell me what you think of it before I fully publish it.
I would love to read it. Definitely send it to me.
Okay, I'll send it to you. But yeah, I'm excited about it. Some of the parts that I've written were written when I was married. So I basically took, because I write a lot, I basically kind of took some of my different writings and put them together. And it honestly, it makes sense. So it's only 100 pages. There's a lot of erotica in there. I have written eroticas before.
We love that. We love a scene.
Yeah, and it's a lot of just, self-help, self-worth, and teaching you how to have self-love. Because if you don't love yourself, ain't nobody's gonna love you like you love yourself. And you're gonna think that is love, but it ain't love. And I'm telling you from experience, because I did not love myself for a while. I hated myself for a very long time. So that's all I have to say. I'm gonna drop you guys off with that deep that deep note. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Nina, for being on the show. Tell everybody verbally your IG handle. I will have below, but for people that are just listening in their cars, go ahead and tell them.
Definitely. You can find me on IG at Nina Being a Child. And if you want to look up some of my projects online and check them out, you can find them at www.ncpevents.com. But the link is on my Instagram. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on. So I'll have it linked below. Guys, my name is Anna Lefebvre. All my links are below. If you love and lust, that's a tongue twister. If you love and lust. Okay, I got it. You can support Love and Lust by Cashapp because everyone else is doing it. So I'm going to say you can Cashapp me.
Right.
Or you can buy merch. We have a lot of merch in the merch store. Everything's below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday. Love and Lust, like I said, is a podcast about sex and relationships. If you guys would like to support Love and Lust, you can do so by purchasing merch. I have one of my shirts here. It's me. It's me. But we have other stuff that doesn't have my face on it too. So we have coffee mugs, we have pillows and hoodies and all that stuff like that. So once again, my name is Anna Lefebvre, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye now.